Well, good afternoon. Good to see you today. Today is Tuesday, March 31st, the last day of March. We're quickly heading into April and Easter and all that comes with that. Today, speaking of Easter, as we're only 12 days or so away from Easter, I wanted to share a story with you, a story that I've had for years and years and years. It's actually a true story. But this did happen years ago. But let me just talk to you about this story real quick. I hope it brightens your day a little bit, gives you a new focus. This is a story about a boy named Jeremy. Jeremy was born with a twisted body and a slow mind. And at the age of 12, he was still in the second grade. So he was like years older than the rest of the kids in his class. And he had a teacher named Doris Miller who tried her best navigating her classroom with Jeremy in it with these younger kids, right? And Jeremy would often make noises or drool, or he'd just call out, and other times he'd just kind of sit and stare off. And it became harder and harder for Miss Miller to navigate her classroom, and so she decided to call Jeremy's parents in and have a consultation. And sure enough, they came in, and she just said, Foresters, I just really believe that Jeremy would be better served in a special school. He belongs that way, where he could be with other kids that have learning problems, and there's a 5-year gap between him and the rest of the kids in the class. And the mom just started to cry, and the dad began to talk, and he said, Miss Miller, there's not a school anywhere close to us that would accommodate Jeremy. It's not practical. We don't see any way that we can do that. And besides, Jeremy will be heartbroken. He looks so forward to coming to school. Well, Miss Miller, she sat back for a while, and it was kind of like God spoke to her heart, and she just had some guilt kind of wash over her. And she just said, you know what, I'm going to allow him to stay in here. And she went home that day, and she just prayed to God that he would help her be patient with Jeremy, that he would give her some extra sensitivity to working with him. And she began to do that. And I think Jeremy, they said, saw a difference. And matter of fact, one day he got up from his desk, walked to her desk, and in front of the whole class, he just, through his little old voice, said, Miss Miller, I love you. And she was just so touched. Of course, other kids giggled and did what kids would do, but she could tell she was making a difference. And spring was coming like is here, and she had a great idea. She sent all the kids home with a plastic Easter egg and said, here, I want you to take this home, and Friday I want you to bring that egg back, but inside of that egg I want you to place something that represents spring, new life, if you will. And so all the kids were excited, and they took their egg and they went on home. And Mrs. Miller had planned on calling Jeremy's parents to let them know what the assignment was, so that they could be clear and they could send something in Jeremy's egg, and so he couldn't get embarrassed or whatever. And but she got home that night, and one thing happened to another, and then her sink got plugged up and had to call a plumber. Well, long story short, Miss Miller forgot about calling Jeremy's parents and letting them know about the assignment. Well, the next day come, the kids all bring their eggs. They're excited. They put them in a wicker basket that's on her desk, and they're so excited, waiting for her to begin to open up these eggs and talk about what they put in their egg. Well, as she began to do that, she opens up the first one. She takes it out. There's a flower in it. And she said, wow, somebody this is good. A flower represents new life because they bloom in the spring. And little Susie said, I brought that one, Mrs. Miller. And well, great job, Susie. You're exactly right. Well, the next egg contained a plastic butterfly, which looked very real. And Doris held it up and she said, wow, we know that caterpillars change into butterflies in the spring, and that's new life as well. And then she opens up another egg, and inside of this is a rock that has green moss on it. And she explained that this moss shows new life as well. And little Billy said, that one's mine. Well, the next egg she opens up, it's empty. And then it dawns on her, that's got to be Jeremy's egg. I forgot to call Jeremy's parents. And so she very quietly set it aside, not to draw attention to it, and went to grab another egg. And when she did that, Jeremy stood up and said, Miss Miller, aren't you going to talk about my egg? And she said, Jeremy, was that your egg? And he said, yes, Miss Miller. And she said, but Jeremy, your egg is empty. We were supposed to put something in there that represents new life. And he said, Miss Miller, Jesus' tomb was empty too. And she said, well, Jeremy, do you know why it was empty? He said, oh yeah, they killed him and they put him in there. But then 3 days later on Easter, he came up out of that and the tomb was empty. And that gives all of us the opportunity for new life. Well, you can imagine time just stopped for Mrs. Miller. And she said, well, Jeremy, you're exactly right. You are exactly right. And she let the kids go to recess and she just put her head down on her desk and she cried. She just cried. Her heart was melted. Jeremy understood way more than what anybody ever gave him credit for. Well, let me tell you how the story ended. 3 months later, Jeremy died. And those who paid their respects of this little boy, when they all came in, they were surprised to see on top of his casket was a wicker basket with 19 plastic eggs in it. And every one of those plastic eggs were empty. What a difference one child can make. Folks, you and I can make that kind of a difference. Easter is coming. We're going to do Easter in a way that we've never ever done it before as a church. Please spread the word. Invite, no matter where your family and friends and loved ones live, they can take Easter in at Crossroads. And I look forward to it. I hope this touches you today. Pass it along. Spread it. Let's be hope dealers. And God bless. We love you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk with you tomorrow. God bless.